David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another review. It's that time again, a time that comes around every 3 months, which is a look at the latest seasonal release from Tactile Turn. I was really looking forward to checking this one out because it's the first time they have released one which utilized their switch mechanism. Now, I go over these details each time I feature one of these seasonal offerings, but they're important, so I'll go over them quickly. This rollerball is not a limited edition, it is a limited production. What that means is that it's available for a limited period of time. During that time, they will produce as many pens which are purchased, and after the purchase window has concluded, the pens will no longer be made. This go-around, the window will be open until December 31st. The creative folks at Tactile Turn have continually done a great job incorporating a unique and interesting theme into these seasonal pens. This go-around, the pen is called Deep Sea, and as you can safely assume, the theme is the vast and mysterious oceans of the world. Thanks, as always, go out to the Texas-based Tactile Turn for providing this pen for review. So, in order to get a look at this pen and see how they incorporated this aquatic theme, please join me over here at camera 2. Okay, here we have the Tactile Turn Deep Sea. You can see, first of all, on the box here, there's some nice little bubbles. And then it does have a bit of a undersea theme going on here. That I won't go into all of the description here. But as I mentioned, this is a pen dedicated to the deep sea and all that is contained within. Now, Tactile Turn generally will also include a little extra, and sometimes it's a sticker or something that's a little unique. This time around, they included a nice magnet, and it does say Tactile Turn, and it has the Tactile Turn logo in there, and it has Deep Sea, and so I do have magnets on a board behind me in each video, and so you might just see this one up there again, but it's a nice larger magnet. So inside the box, there's a couple of things. Not a couple of things, but something I appreciate is this little hole right here, just because it really allows you to just get your finger in there and get it out. So I know it's not the most complicated of design elements, but I just appreciate that in there. And then we have the pen. This is the Tactile Turn Deep Sea. This pen is made from titanium. And it does come in two sizes. There is the standard and the short. This is the standard. The short is slightly shorter. This is a multi-layer shimmering Cerakote finish with some nautical elements, as I mentioned, on a titanium body with a bronze toggle right here. And we'll get to that in a minute. The distinctive element of Tactile Turn pens is that there is a groove. Let me see where you can see that. I think you can catch an eye on that, which actually feels really interesting in your hand. And then also when you're gripping the pen, it does make for excellent gripping material, and so the pen doesn't slide around. Even if you grip it close to the tip here, where it starts to angle down, that it is really easy to grip onto this pen, especially with those grooves. So let's take a look here at the end of the pen. Well, first of all, let's take a look at that Cerakote finish. And you can see it's the deep blue, but then it just has some wispy elements to it. Every pen is going to be slightly different. And it does kind of give you that look of the deep sea. When I was a kid, it makes me feel old, but we would always watch these Jacques Cousteau specials, and those were fascinating because that was literally how we were learning about some of the elements that were in the deep sea, because they really weren't exposed to the masses before, and so he would share those things with us on his ship, the Calypso, and that he would kind of show us the wonders of the oceans. And if you look back at those videos, they seem kind of old and dry, but at the time they were just the most fascinating things. And we very much appreciated them. So next up, we have the clip. As I mentioned, that this is a titanium. Actually, this is a stainless steel clip. But here on the end, we have what's called a Mark V helmet. Now, I did find this amazing. This was a helmet that was actively used by the U.S. Navy beginning in 1916, which you kind of see that helmet and think of kind of, yeah, it's kind of oldie times. So 1916, almost 110 years ago. But that's not the amazing part. They discontinued using this helmet in 1984. I mean, how many pieces of equipment design are used for almost 70 years? It was just very well done. This helmet was actually screwed down to the rest of the suit. They actually called the rest of the suit the dress. As I mentioned, this is the Mark V, and there were progressively improved Marks 1, 2, 3, and 4 designs, which were created in the early 1900s before the Mark V finally became the industry standard for decades to come. Something I really like about Tactile Turns pens, and I know it's a little bit hard to see here, at least in my lighting. Maybe I'll trust that the camera can pick that up. But here under the clip, it actually says Tactile Turn and has the date of the pen in here. So I like the fact that it has the company name as well as it is dated. And then I like that it's kind of hidden under the clip. So it's hidden in plain sight. So it's there, but having that elsewhere on the pen would be a bit of a distraction. So, in regard to actually using this pen and this mechanism, this is their switch mechanism, which I feel is rather interesting. It doesn't protrude that much from the barrel of the pen or the body of the pen, but when you push it down, let's go ahead and so you can see that, you push it down and the tip extends. Now, you do have to actually have some effort in order to pull it down, but then when it comes time to releasing it, there is virtually no pressure at all, and you just touch it, and then it just flips right back. So let's actually to where you can kind of see it, to where you push it down, and then just barely flick it, and it pops right back. And as with a lot of Tactile Turns pens, I do find that they serve as a bit of a fidget toy. The mechanism here looks kind of cool. I think that that looks interesting in there. On both sides, it just has an interesting look to it. And then, as I mentioned, you just barely touch it and it flicks right back up. So let's go ahead and take a look at some size comparisons, and then we'll do a quick writing sample with this particular model. In regard to size comparisons, I wanted to show you some of the other Tactile Turn seasonal models that I enjoy. This one here was called Deep Space. I thought really did a good job of incorporating space. This one here was called the 8-bit, which was kind of designed to celebrate retro gaming and like Nintendo gaming. This one here was called the GT, and I really liked the coloring of that one. That was kind of a racing themed. And then we had this one here, which was the Fairway, which was golf themed. And then the most recent one was the All-Star. And I generally keep one of their pens on my desk, and lately it's been their latest seasonal offering. And this one reminded me of baseball, and since the baseball season ended, and for my team, it didn't end in the way I wanted it to, not that I'm retiring this pen, but I'm looking forward to having the Deep Sea on my desk for quite some time, or at least until the next one comes out. But I had this one on my desk for a while, and then that is what it looks like in comparison. Here's another Tactile Turn pen. This one here was one of their bolt action pens, to where you just have the bolt. Again, you just kind of flick it and then it goes back. And this was made out of one of my favorite materials, which is the Damascus steel. You can see it extended over here, but then at the end you can see a lot of that patterning in there, and that's just a very cool patterning. And then finally, this is what it looks like with a Retro 51. I enjoy Retro 51s as well. I generally carry one of those around with me with my Hobonichi, and this particular one was a Joey Feldman model. It actually glows in the dark. If we turn out the lights, you'd see it glows. But the Retro 51s, this is what it looks like in comparison. So, quick writing sample here. We have the Tactile Turn. And this is the Deep Sea. Now, these do come with a Pilot G2 refill, which is a rollerball refill, which is one of my favorites. So it's a really smooth and pleasant writing experience. And then just in regard to a writing sample. It's very nice. As I mentioned, the G2 is one of my favorite refills. Now, this particular model, I'll put a link in the notes below where you can see it on the Tactile Turn website. This one does retail for $159. Now, historically, most of the seasonal models have been in the $149 range, but there have been a few which were $159, and this happens to be one of these models. And as I mentioned previously, it will be available in December 30 or until December 31st. I do think this is a sharp looking model, and I think that I like it better than if it was just a straight blue. I think the addition of kind of this wispy white kind of gives you that feeling of the deep sea and the light shining through, and adds a bit of mystery to this pen. So I think it was a theme that was well executed. And then I like the helmet that's on there as well. So I'm very much looking forward to next month, but in 3 months when they come out with their next model. But until then, that I will thoroughly enjoy this one. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.